Hey, what's going on, everybody? JJ here, BX4. It is November 11th, 2020. I have a bit of news I want to get into today. Now, I just want to start off with the following message. I know there's a lot of different people on this channel with different situations, right? So when I say that I think it's a good idea to invest in something or to buy something, of course, that doesn't apply to everybody. And I'm not trying to downplay the fact that there are people on this channel that are really, facing tough times, living paycheck to paycheck, maybe not living paycheck to paycheck at all, maybe living from unemployment check to unemployment check, and worrying that possibly the unemployment's going to run out at the end of the year, or when you hit the 6-month mark, whether you're living paycheck to paycheck or doing very well financially. Maybe you're riding this huge stock market wave up. We talked about in our last video, there's a lot of people making a lot of money in cryptos. I made a little bit. I didn't have a very big position, but it ran from about 3,600, now it's approaching 16,000. And I'm not telling anyone to go out and buy cryptos. I think it's overvalued right now. I'm expecting a pullback, and maybe I'll buy another fraction of a Bitcoin if it goes down to 10 or 11,000. We'll see what it does. I definitely do not recommend buying anything on a huge uptrend. That includes the housing market, any sort of asset, including digital assets or stocks. There's a time to accumulate, and then there's a time to sell. And when you see a huge run up in an asset, even silver, when it ran up to near $30, it would have been a good idea to take some off the table possibly at that time. So I know there's a lot of different situations in my audience, so I just wanted to put that out there that I've been there. I know what you're going through. I may not know exactly your situation. Of course, everybody's different. But it can happen to anyone. You can be on top of the world. You can feel like you're doing well financially. It only takes one incident, maybe a car accident where your insurance doesn't cover it, a damage to your home, a natural disaster, you don't have the right insurance coverage. An injury without health insurance could wipe out someone's life savings very quickly, because we live in an environment and an economy where prices are overinflated. The cost of medical should not be what it is. Right, if you take away the endless debt, you would see prices come down in a lot of different areas, and I think a lot of people would be surprised how much lower the cost of healthcare would go if you take the government out of the equation. The same thing goes with the endless money printing. When the endless money printing stops, if and when it ever stops, you would see prices correct drastically. It would be a whiplash type of correction, how fast prices would come down if you end the endless liquidity. If you put a stop to the endless support for the financial sector, if you stop allowing the banks to loan out endless amounts of money, and to always keep the banks solvent no matter how much money they loan out. But let's talk about a few things here. We know that with the economy shutting down, a lot of people had to work from home. Some people liked it, some people didn't like it. A lot of people don't have very nice offices. That would be me, basically having to work out of my garage. But working at home has definitely been a positive thing overall, except for the fact that I'm in a cold garage. It's not a converted garage. But now Deutsche Bank has a great idea in their opinion. They want to tax people that are working from home. They are calling for a 5%, what they're calling a privilege tax on people choosing to work from home. Well, a lot of people didn't choose to work from home. A lot of people had no choice because of a lot of the jobs that used to be there for people are no longer there with all the businesses shutting down. Right? Millions of small businesses wiped out. So a lot of people migrated to work at home jobs out of necessity, and Deutsche Bank, they want to add in another tax. Isn't it interesting how when things start getting bad, the answer is always going to be more taxes, right? More taxes. A lot of these people that are working from home, do you think they're rich? A lot of them are barely scraping by. People had to move in with their parents. We know most millennials now actually live at home with their parents, and if they're lucky enough to get a work-at-home job, you want to tax these people that had to move in with their parents. You want to tax them an extra 5% for the privilege of having to work at home, right? How insane is that? But leave it to a crooked institution like Deutsche Bank to come up with something so ridiculous. Right? So on one hand, you've got an institution, the Fed, that can print unlimited amounts, can buy unlimited amounts of assets. They've admitted it. But on the other hand, you're talking about taxing people to help fill in some of the budget gaps. Right? Absolutely insane what they're proposing here. But most people probably go along with it. They have no idea how the money system works. They actually think that taxes have to be used to pay for things, to fill in budget gaps and budget deficits. Right? These people have no clue, but people get what they deserve. I mean, this is probably what's going to happen. They're probably going to start taxing people for this, work at home, and probably a whole lot of other taxes that are going to be implemented that we can't even imagine right now. But as time progresses, it's going to be more and more of a tax and spend situation. Let's talk about Martin Armstrong and Armstrong Economics, and he is chiming in on the whole cashless society move. And we know that central banks, global central banks, they want a cashless society. A few years ago, if people talked about this, it was looked at as tinfoil hat type of stuff. Now it's right out there in the open. They want to go all digital dollars. It's going to be a new level of control. You won't even have paper bills to buy and sell in a more private manner. And it's going to be, like I said, a new level of control. If you don't take the shot, if you don't take the injection there out of the pharmaceutical company, you won't be allowed to do a lot of things that you can do today, and you might not be able to buy and sell. They could freeze your account. It's going to be total control. Cashless society is going to be a nightmare. And some people say, well, we're already mostly cash. We're already mostly cashless because a lot of people are just swiping cards, and most people don't use physical cash or coins or dollars. But believe me, a cashless society, there's a reason why they want to move to a cashless society, and it's not a good reason, but pretty good article here out of Armstrong Economics. And he says basically it's going to be an end to privacy. What little privacy we have now, we're already tracked and traced wherever we go on the internet, even in the real world, cameras everywhere. You got to have your papers on you, registrations, IDs, the whole 9 yards. So with all this money printing and QE to infinity, how's the dollar holding up? Well, look at a recent chart here. The dollar versus other fiat currencies, not bad, actually pretty strong. And this is going back over 4 years, and we don't see much of a dip. It's actually higher than it was 4 years ago. But take a look down here, the US dollar versus gold. Think about that. The huge run-up in gold. If you were sitting in dollars, look what happened to your purchasing power when it's compared to gold. Now think about way back in the 1930s when gold was what, between $30 and $40 an ounce. And let's say you were a saver, you wanted to save your money, so you put the, let's say, $35 into your vault there, and you bring it out here in 2020, and you still have $35 because it's a US dollar, and it's going to buy a heck of a lot less than it bought back then, back in the 1930s. But if you would have bought gold back then for what it was, $35 an ounce, now you would have almost $2,000. Right? So just an example of how saving can be a bad move. It used to be thought that saving was a smart thing to do, right? Our parents told us that, for many years. Save your money, don't go out and blow your money. Well, now saving your money, it gets devalued. If you put it in something that's going to have an uptrend, commodities, precious metals, they're running up fast and furious. We'll see how this continues. We know that there's manipulation out there. There's a lot of games being played. Not many people are getting in trouble for it. I had some optimism a few years ago that with the new administration we'd start seeing some of this come to light. There's been some fines and some arrests, but nothing on a major scale. Now, a lot of uncertainty going forward. Have to see what the political world has in store for us. Maybe more taxes, UBI. We'll have to see, everybody, but we're going to keep an eye on everything for you. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your support. Bye for now.